He texts her, waits, nothing. He's been there for her, listened, helped, never crossed a line, never disrespected her, always nice. But the response never comes. She's busy, she's confused, she just doesn't feel that way. And somehow, she always ends up with someone else, someone colder, louder, bolder. There's a moment of silence, a kind of quiet grief, not dramatic, just the slow ache of a man realizing that everything he was told to be doesn't seem to work. You've heard the story before. Maybe you've lived it. Maybe you're still in it. You've been told that being kind is the path to love, that respect, care, and patience will open hearts. And yet, in the harsh light of experience, a darker pattern emerges. The kind are overlooked, the selfless are forgotten, the too nice are invisible. Why? It's not enough to say, women like bad boys. That's lazy. There's something deeper, older, something ancient and primal at play. A brutal truth buried beneath centuries of myths, romantic ideals, and cultural scripts. This truth has nothing to do with modern dating tips. It has nothing to do with masculinity coaches or red pill revenge fantasies. It was spoken quietly, nearly 2 centuries ago, by a man who believed that love is not sacred but savage, a man who wrote that we are not led by reason, but by an unconscious force that cares nothing for kindness. His name was Arthur Schopenhauer, and his words might explain why she never texts, back why being nice so often leads to emptiness, and why love, as we imagine it, may not be love at all. He was born into wealth, educated, cultured, a lover of art, music, and silence. But his heart was cold. Not from cruelty. No, Schopenhauer wasn't evil. He was simply awake. He looked at the world, at people, at their hopes, their romances, their religions, and saw delusion. He saw animals in denial, pretending to be gods. Arthur Schopenhauer believed life was not guided by logic or morality but by a force far older, a blind, insatiable hunger, a drive to survive and reproduce at any cost. He called it the will, not a choice, not a decision, a force, an instinct, a parasite embedded in the soul of every living thing. To Schopenhauer, everything we cherish, love, art, ambition, was just a disguise, just window dressing over the same primal mechanism: multiply, consume, persist. And love. Love was the cruelest lie of all. He called it a trap laid by the species, a trick designed not for your happiness, but for your genes, not to fulfill your heart, but to ensure the birth of more hearts. Love, he said, is the mask the will wears when it wants more life. He watched couples fall into passion, into obsession, only to end in bitterness or regret. He saw men destroy themselves in pursuit of women who didn't love them, but needed them, for security, for validation, for biology. He didn't hate women. He didn't hate men. He simply saw them both as puppets. Schopenhauer believed freedom begins when you understand the strings. He never married, never had children. And many thought him bitter, maybe even mad. But look around today, at the confusion, at the loneliness, at the games and ghosting and silent hearts. Was he wrong? Or was he simply early? Why do we fall in love? Why her eyes, not someone else's? Why him, when he's the one who never calls back? We think it's chemistry, or destiny, or some deep alignment of souls. But Schopenhauer didn't believe in souls. He believed in the will, a biological force beneath our thoughts. It doesn't care about your values or dreams. It doesn't care about kindness or decency. It only cares about survival. The will wants life, and it uses you to get it. It makes you fall in love, not with someone who will make you happy, but with someone whose DNA might create strong offspring, someone who triggers your instincts, someone who activates the machine, and then it disappears. You wake up months later, heartbroken, confused. You say, it just didn't work out. But in truth, the will already got what it wanted. That sudden rush of attraction, the obsession, the irrational need, it's not poetry. It's biology. You were never in control. Modern science has caught up to Schopenhauer. Evolutionary psychology confirms much of what he guessed long before Darwin. We now know women are biologically wired to seek men who display signs of genetic fitness, confidence, strength, assertiveness, even unpredictability. Traits that once signaled survival, not kindness, not politeness, not good intentions. In fact, those traits can even backfire. Too much niceness, too early, feels safe, feels easy, feels sterile. Nice doesn't excite the will. Why are stories of dangerous, emotionally unavailable men so magnetic? Why do so many women return to the one who left them broken? Because unpredictability is power. Because emotional instability, though toxic, is often confused for passion. Because somewhere in the mind, chaos feels like potential, and potential feels like attraction. We're not saying women are wrong. We're saying biology isn't fair. We all like to think we choose love with our minds, but more often love chooses us through mechanisms we don't understand. You weren't passed over because you were kind. You were passed over because in that moment, you didn't awaken the will. Not hers, not yours. And here's the twist. Even when the will gives you what you want, it never lets you keep it. Happiness is not its goal. Reproduction is. Think about the rush of falling in love, the obsession, the intensity, the fantasies. Now think about what comes after. The fights, the boredom, the cheating, the silence. To Schopenhauer, this wasn't failure. This was the plan. The will got what it needed. The rest doesn't matter. When you understand this, something inside you shifts. You stop chasing illusions. You stop blaming yourself. And for the first time there, you begin to see. She says she wants a nice guy. Someone who listens. Someone loyal. Someone safe. But when she talks about her ex, her eyes light up. The one who disappeared. The one who kept her guessing. The one who made her cry, then pulled her back in. There's a reason for this contradiction, and it's not hypocrisy, it's instinct. What she says she wants and what her biology responds to are often two different things. Schopenhauer saw this pattern long before dating apps and TikTok therapists. He didn't moralize it. He didn't blame anyone. He simply watched human nature do what it's always done. Prioritize strength over softness, power over peace. In nature, survival depends on one thing, passing on genes. And genes don't care if you're kind. They care if you're competent. Throughout history, women have evolved to select mates who can protect, provide, and endure. But those traits don't always come packaged in a polite exterior. They come cloaked in confidence, assertiveness, emotional independence, even danger. Studies today confirm it. Women consistently rate dominant, unpredictable men as more attractive than agreeable ones. Not because they want to suffer, but because unpredictability feels like strength, and strength feels like safety, even when it's the opposite. Nice guys, by contrast, feel predictable, secure, and in the twisted calculus of desire, security doesn't always equal attraction. It gets worse. When a man makes a woman feel unsure, when he withdraws, goes cold, plays hot and cold, he activates a powerful psychological mechanism. Intermittent reinforcement. She never knows when she'll get his affection, so she chases it, obsessively, the same way people get addicted to slot machines. It's not logic, it's chemistry. Her nervous system lights up, dopamine spikes, cortisol rises, and suddenly she's hooked, not on the man, but on the emotional volatility. And the nice guy? He's still sending good morning texts, still waiting for a reply. In movies, the bad boy always loses in the end. But in real life, it's not that simple. The truth is messy. And people are not algorithms. Some women choose stability, some outgrow chaos. But attraction doesn't come from checklists. It comes from signals. And those signals are ancient. Schopenhauer didn't invent this truth. He just exposed it. He wrote that love is rarely about the person. It's about what the person represents in the mind of the other. To her, the dangerous man represents strength, boldness, potential. To her, the overly nice man may feel like a brother, a servant, a backup plan. And once you understand that, you stop taking rejection personally. You stop trying to win love with good behavior, because now you know it was never about behavior. It was about biology. Section 5. The myth of the morally deserving lover. We've been told a story, a myth dressed as morality, that if you're good, if you're patient, generous, and respectful, love will find you. That love is a kind of cosmic justice, that it rewards the virtuous and punishes the cruel. It's a beautiful idea, but it's a lie. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't believe in moral deserts. He didn't believe life gives people what they deserve. In fact, he saw desire and desert as two entirely separate things. He wrote that nature does not care for fairness, only for function. A man may be noble in character, but if he doesn't trigger the will to life, he is invisible. Another may be selfish, arrogant, even destructive, but if his presence signals strength or vitality, he will be desired. This truth is brutal, but it's not hopeless. Because once you let go of the myth that love is earned through goodness, you stop bargaining with the world. You stop expecting the universe to reward you for doing the right thing. You stop keeping score. So many men cling to the idea of moral entitlement, a belief that if they're good enough, kind enough, patient enough, they will be chosen. That love is something to be won by effort. But attraction doesn't obey effort. Love is not a prize given to the best contestant. It's a primal signal that lights up the nervous system. And that signal isn't interested in fairness. This is why so many nice guys grow bitter. Because beneath their kindness, there's often a hidden contract. I'll be good to you, and in return, you'll love me. But that contract was never signed. Not by her, not by biology, not by life. So when she leaves, when she forgets, when she chooses someone else, they feel betrayed. Not just by her, but by the entire system. But there is no system. Just the will. When you accept this, not as defeat but as truth, you begin to mature emotionally. You stop trying to earn love like a salary. You stop expecting justice from biology. And maybe, just maybe, you start creating something real. Not by being nice, but by being conscious. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be wanted. By lovers, by employers, by society. They shape themselves into something desirable, bend their identities, perform roles, all in service to one thing, approval. But Schopenhauer saw this as slavery. He believed the highest act of freedom wasn't to win love, but to outgrow the need for it, to transcend the will. That's what made him dangerous, because while others tried to seduce the world, Schopenhauer tried to escape it. He saw the game, the endless striving, the humiliating chase for validation, and asked, what happens if I stop playing? The answer wasn't nihilism. It was liberation. To transcend the will means to become undesirable on purpose. Not in appearance, but in orientation. To no longer act in ways that attract shallow attention. To stop chasing those who don't see you. To stop curating yourself to be more digestible. To stop proving, and instead, to become deeply still. To become someone whose value is not negotiable, not performance-based, not desperate, someone who is free. Modern society won't reward this. It thrives on hunger, on insecurity. It needs you wanting, scrolling, buying, dating. But a man who no longer needs to be desired becomes dangerous because he can't be manipulated. He's no longer swayed by affection, nor broken by rejection. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, he doesn't pretend, he simply sees. He knows that most attraction is theater. That romance is a disguise for reproduction. that the will does not love, it uses, and yet, he doesn't grow bitter. He grows quiet. In that quiet, a strange peace emerges. Not loneliness, not isolation, but self-possession. He may still love. He may still desire, but he's no longer ruled by it. He has walked off the stage. He has stopped performing, and for the first time, he's free. Most men never wake up. They keep playing. They keep waiting for the story to deliver on its promise. That, if they're good enough, nice enough, patient enough, love will save them. But Schopenhauer whispered what most are afraid to hear. Love does not save. It seduces, and then abandons. Not because people are cruel, but because nature is indifferent. You were never meant to be happy. You were meant to survive, to replicate, to carry the code forward. Everything else, romance, poetry, promises, it's decoration. Elegant lies hiding a violent machine. So now you stand at the edge of something uncomfortable. A psychological cliff. You can forget this. You can pretend you never heard it. Go back to the illusion. Keep texting, keep hoping, keep waiting for someone to finally reward your kindness, or you can wake up. You can choose to see love for what it is. Not a reward, not a virtue, not a cure, but a game, a trap, a biological impulse dressed in spiritual clothing. You can stop trying to be wanted. You can start trying to become aware. Aware of how often you're manipulated, not by others, but by your own instincts. Aware of how easily attention becomes addiction. Aware that needing to be loved is the fastest way to be used. And once you're aware, you have a power that few possess. You can choose to love consciously, not compulsively, to give without begging, to walk away without collapsing, to sit alone, not as punishment, but as peace. Most will never understand this. They will confuse numbness for wisdom, resentment for clarity. They'll say Schopenhauer was just bitter, just unloved, just a cynic. But maybe he was just awake. Maybe love isn't something to fall into, but something to grow through. And maybe the ones who walk away from the illusion aren't broken. Maybe they're free.